his chin. Lenny Finks, known to his fans as Lenny the Sphinx, was the nerd of the group. Skinny and homely, with kinky auburn hair, he was the talent behind the act, the guy who wrote the music, though Trace refused to call it that. Lenny was harmless, except for the viperous tongue he used to lash at the group's critics. He was a necessary component, and the reason for the group's unbelievable success. Bobby himself was as tall as Trace, about 6'2", and as lean and solidly built. Having taken years of martial arts, Bobby thought he was a tough guy. Trace flicked a glance at the bruises on Shauna Jourdain's beautiful face, clamped down on a surge of anger, and wished he could show him ex-Ranger tough. Instead, he tipped back his white straw cowboy hat, shifted in his chair, and sipped his coffee, his gaze fixed on Bobby, who swaggered over to Shauna's table, his friends close behind. "Hey, babe." "Hello, Bobby." Her voice held the faint edge of fear. Bobby turned a hard look on the man beside her. "So, Evan, you wanted me to come down here so we could have a little chat, is that right?" The lawyer, a slender man with sandy brown hair and intelligent eyes, sat up a little straighter in his chair. "I was hoping we might be able to make some progress in the matter of your divorce," he said. Bobby shifted, his legs splayed in a belligerent stance. "You get my wife to file for divorce, and you want me to come here so we can talk?" Reaching out, he grabbed Evan by his red-striped power tie and hauled him to his feet. Shauna screamed, and Trace went into action. Tossing Lenny out of the way like the skinny little runt he was, he reached out and grabbed hold of the back of Bobby's black Silver Dragon t-shirt. Trace spun him around, waited an instant for Bobby to throw the first punch, then ducked and nailed him solidly in the jaw. Bobby went down like a sack of wheat, his head hitting the wooden floor with a melon-like thump that had his eyes rolling back in his head. "You son of a bitch!" Clyde's blunt, meaty hands balled into fists as he lumbered forward, swinging a roundhouse punch meant to send a man to his knees. Trace ducked, turned a little, and threw a straight-from-the-shoulder blow that sank 4 inches into the big man's stomach. Clyde grunted, doubled over, and Trace took him out with an uppercut to the chin. Blood gushed from his nose, and Clyde flew backward, knocking over a table and sending the surprised older couple scrambling out of the way. It was exactly the kind of thing Evan Schofield had hoped to prevent when he had hired Trace. "Sorry, buddy." Evan held up a hand. "Not your fault. I should have known this wouldn't work." He grinned. Besides, it was worth it to see Bobby get what he had coming. Shaking off the ache in his hand, Trace reached down and picked up his cowboy hat, settled it once more on his head. Lenny stood next to Bobby, with his mouth gaping and his eyes wide. "You shouldn't have done that." "You don't think so?" Bobby's gonna be really mad." Trace chuckled softly. "If you're smart, you'll get him out of here before somebody calls the police. He doesn't need any more trouble." Evan pulled out Shauna's chair. "Let's go." She rose shakily to her feet and turned to Trace. "Thank you, Mr. Rawlins. You have no idea how good that made me feel." The corner of his mouth edged up. "Oh, I think I do." Shauna turned and started walking, but before she had reached the door, a camera flashed, capturing her retreat. Then the photographer turned toward the man moaning softly on the floor. The camera flashed again and again, taking photos of Bobby Jourdain that would be wildly embarrassing to a guy with an ego as massive as his. Trace